Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt podcast, episode number 77. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing how to transform yourself in the person that you want to become so you can actually start achieving your goals. In life, you do not get something, you don't achieve something, you don't make this dream come true or this goal that you had happen because you're a nice person or because you've worked really hard or because you've been through a lot and you just deserve it. Well, I wish it was like that because everyone would just get all these great things all the time. It's just not how it works. You get something, you move into a role, you now have the successful business, you get your dream job because you are the person who's capable of receiving it. Not only that, but capable of keeping it. We get things because the shoe fits. So let me give you an example. Where I'm from in just outside of Houston, Texas, football is life. And if you've ever seen the movie or TV show Friday Night Lights, you know how important high school football is in Texas. That's everything that we talked about. When you go out to eat, when you see friends, when you're in school, all they're talking about is the high school football team, the varsity high school football team. And what I learned throughout playing high school sports and then playing junior college football is everyone wanted the same things. Everyone wanted to go play Division I football. Everyone wanted to play in college. Everyone wanted to be a starting varsity football player. Everyone wanted to make the NFL. And a lot of people worked their tails off. They worked so hard. They did everything that they could to be a great player. But similar to football, just like we compare it to the world, is the people who are actually the best players and make the biggest impact to the team, no matter how hard they worked, is ultimately what matters. And coaches would do things to push people, to make them work hard. And many times you would see players that didn't really work that hard, that would sometimes show up late. And the coaches would get on them, they'd make this scene. But next thing you know, they're starting, they're playing, they're doing really good, they're moving up, they're getting scholarship offers, they're getting opportunities. Because while that wasn't fair, maybe the next guy was working harder. The world doesn't care. If that person is performing more on the field and is helping the team win, then when push comes to shove, no matter how hard they worked 6 months ago, they're going to win. Now, at the same time, there is going to be a certain point where you reach a level where everyone is as good as that one person. And if they don't execute and they don't work hard, they're not actually going to get the same opportunities. And that's how life works a lot of times. There's different levels to everything. And you may be at a level right now where you are so much better than your competition that you literally just got to show up. But you will hit a certain point in your career in what you do where everybody is just as good, if not better than you. And that's when the details matter. That's when the leverage and the team and the information and the skill sets and the fundamentals that you know at whatever you do matters. That's where being at the right place and knowing the right people matters. Look, who you know matters. The way that you're perceived matters. The financial backing and the expertise and everything that you have matters. But you have to start looking at your life, your success, and your business in a practical standpoint. Nobody cares about your feelings. They don't. Your mom maybe does, your grandma does. But besides that, the world doesn't care. They care what value you bring it. And the reason why I'm being so brash with you is because it's the truth. It's the truth. And if we don't first accept that truth for what it is, then we cannot grow and move past it. Take this as a CEO, right? I never forget, still to this day, that when someone quits or leaves the organization, it never feels good. It never feels good. But at the end of the day, I cannot take that personal if they leave. Because if they truly thought their life would be better staying at the company, then they would have stayed. And it's my job as a CEO to make a work environment and an opportunity so good that they cannot pass up. And why would they look elsewhere? I could be upset because we have a really talented person leave and take another opportunity. Or I could look at myself in the mirror and go, what could I have done better to give this person an environment that can make them more successful and make it worthwhile to want to stay here? In the same sense, if I'm recruiting really talented people, you look at the best people in the world in business, for example, One of Steve Jobs' greatest gifts was not necessarily marketing and vision, which obviously is two of his best things. It was recruiting. And one of the first people that Steve Jobs actually hired when he came back to Apple after Apple was about to go into bankruptcy was Tim Cook. And he hired Tim Cook from Compaq to manage all of their supply chain and become the company's chief operating officer. And Tim Cook was masterful at supply chain and helped scale Apple, and then later became the CEO and turned the company into almost $3 trillion company. So the hire that Steve Jobs made all the way back then is still running the company today and causing the company to grow to even greater heights every single year. Why? Because Tim Cook thought that going to work for Apple was going to make a real change. The opportunity for him and the world was so great that even though he had such a great position, he wanted to go work somewhere else. The reason why I'm talking about this is really successful people realize that they are the common denominator in every single situation. Is life fair? No. Do bad things just sometimes happen? Yes. Or sometimes you're just going to get the short end of the stick? For sure. But at the end of the day, if you and I and anybody else that's listening to this podcast is the common denominator in every single good and bad situation, in every job interview, in every sales meeting, in every situation that you could come across, then that means you have the power to change it. You have the power. And I'm not saying that to be motivational, it's just true. And I can give you an example. One time we had this sales manager that was kind of having a rough time. And for some reason, his sales were slipping and things were going kind of sideways. And I think he just kind of lost his focus, right? And I had been in sales for quite some time. I'd master it. And what happened is he had jumped in a escalated situation where you had a homeowner that was just, and I say homeowner because I'm in the solar industry. So I have a residential solar company. And this homeowner was livid. And to be fair, our install partner had messed up on a few little things, but it was nothing crazy. I don't think they should have been as mad as they were, but they were just irritated. And to be fair, I think they had a good point too. And they were bulldozing this sales manager saying they want to quit or they want to back out of the deal. And this was a big $60,000, $70,000 deal. They're not doing it. Take the panels off the roof. And we had asked him, we're like, hey, how's the situation going? Did you get it fixed? He goes, man, they're not doing it. I've talked to them 3-4 times. They do not want to go solar. Like, they are pissed. They want all the panels off. Now, this was going to be a huge loss because not only was it a $70,000 to $80,000 deal, but we would have had to pay contractors to take the panels off the roof. That would have cost a lot of money. Then we would have had to repatch and refix the roof as well, which would cost even more money. So it would have been probably a $100,000 loss if we didn't save this. And what I had learned is I'd lived in New York for quite some time. So I had seen a little bit of everything. In New York, it's a little bit more brash, and I know how to handle kind of difficult situations. I'd also been in sales and in business. I'd hired hundreds and hundreds of people. And so you're looking at a situation where, yes, a talented sales manager couldn't handle the situation. Because I'd been through all these different scenarios, that wasn't really that big of a deal or a stressful situation for me because I knew how to handle it. So I had him jump on the phone and I said, look, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to jump on the 3-way call, just mute yourself and listen to it. I called these people and I said, hey, this is Grant with Mitt Group. I'm reaching out about your solar project. Before I say anything else, I just want to say, number one, everything that's happened with this install and how long it's taken is absolutely ridiculous. It's unbelievable. And I would be pissed off too. And I am just as mad as you are on how long this is taking and why it is not done yet. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Second, I apologize for the delay. And I want to let you know what the next steps are going to be and what you can expect moving forward. Is that fair? And they said, yes. And right as they talked, I heard their accent. These people, while they lived in, I believe, Florida at the time, they were originally from New York. You could hear it in their accent. They had a Long Island accent. And I'd lived in Brooklyn for about 2.5 years, so I picked it up. I said, hey, real quick, where are you guys from? They told me. I said, oh, okay, I lived in Brooklyn. They said, oh, what street? And I named the streets. They knew that I was actually living there. They're like, oh, okay. And I said, look, this has been ridiculous what's happening, but we're not going to cancel the deal. The reason why is because this is 3 months in. We spent tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in this project. You guys haven't paid for a dime for anything yet. We're going to get this fixed. Number one, I'm assigning you guys a new project coordinator who's been in the industry for 6 years, has managed thousands of projects, and is going to set up a streamlined communication between you guys and them. That's number one. Number two is I'm going to have someone come out to the house on next Tuesday to assess this and assess this. If it rains, if there's delays, do not freak out. We are not trying to get this done fast. We are trying to get this done the right way. Then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. Is that fair? And they said, yes, thank you, Grant. And I said, perfect. I'm going to shoot you a text. You guys have my number. I'm going to group text you with the new project coordinator, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to get this deal done by X date. Does that sound good? And they said, yes, thank you. I get off the phone with them. The sales manager was like, what the heck? He was mind blown because he had been cussed out, yelled at, and screamed at over 3 different times and was sitting there looking at a massive deal that he would have lost, and it was saved in probably about 5 to 6 minutes. Why? Because the person that was involved in the situation changed. And many times when you look at your life and your problems now, if you knew the right information, you had the right leverage and the right skill set, you would be able to get out of this problem that you're in so fast, it would be like it never existed. Now, I'm not saying that to neg you out. I'm telling you that this almost as a positive. It's like, look, the information is out here. We all have iPhones. We all have smartphones. We all have internet. There is information on there that can develop yourself and groom yourself into a person that's capable of not only solving whatever issues you currently have, but can teach you how to elevate your game at such a rate that your life and the people's lives around you can change forever. You have to transform yourself. Now, how do you do this? I can give you an idea of how I did it and how I'm currently doing it now in ways that you can also do it. Number one, you have to have a simplistic and simple target. If you do not know exactly what you want and who you have to become, then you're going to do a lot of random things and you're going to end up in a very interesting and random circumstance. If you want to be the CEO of a major company or the company you work at now, or you want to start your business, or you want to be the number one sales rep, or whatever your target is, it needs to be clear. Clear. If you go look, for example, Elon Musk with SpaceX, they just launched Starship and they did the first orbit. As the rocket is taking off, there's a giant sign right in the entrance that says Gateway to Mars. There's not one person that works for SpaceX that doesn't know that their goal is to get to Mars. It doesn't say, we hope we can go to Mars. It doesn't say nothing there. It doesn't say gateway to space. It says gateway to change the world. It says gateway to Mars. He wants every single person to know this is what our goals is, this is what our mission is, and this is what we're working for. It's that simple. And so you need to know your target. Next, I want you to think about what is the person that you would have to become if you were creating a player in a video game to start molding yourself into this individual. What information would you have to know? Who would you have to know? What would you need to dress like? How would you need to speak? All the different things that you need. And I want you to think so big because there is abundance all around us. It's just your choice to actually look at it or not. You have to look that. You have to seek for that. Okay? And you might first say, well, the problem is, man, Grant, I don't come from money. Well, yeah, I didn't either. Well, I don't know any of those successful people. Well, there you go. You need to go figure out how to know them. And then each time when you have a rebuttal or objection to that problem, you need to go solve it. Well, they don't blah, 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 blah. They don't like people that are from where I'm from. Well, okay, who would you have to become that would make them want to spend time with you? Now you need to become that person. Now they're going to want to spend time with you. Like, well, Grant, I would need $1 million. Great. You just figured out a problem. Now you have to go solve the $1 million problem. U.S. economy is almost $28 trillion. You can find $1 million somewhere from someone, from a bank. You can make it. You can earn it. You can have an asset that appreciates in value to get it. There's a lot of different ways to solve these problems that you're going for, but you have to groom yourself. If you need to understand the legal side of things, go study that. If you want to understand how to hire, fire, recruit, market, scale, do all these different basics, you can learn all these things primarily for free. But what happens is we're energetic beings, we're spiritual beings. And so when we learn different things and we become a different version of ourselves, we're going to start seeing a new reality. Like we all live, yes, in the same world, but we all experience it differently. For example, you could have a day that is the worst day ever, and you've had a lot of stress, it's raining, there's so much problems. And the next person said, you know what? It's going to rain a lot this weekend. Do y'all want to go to Miami instead? And they fly to Miami and they stay at the best hotel and they do this and they do that and they're as happy as can be. They were living in the same world as the person that was upset, but they had a different reality. You choose the reality you want to live in. You can take two people, put them in the exact same situation, and one person had the best day of their life and the other person had the worst day of their life. What is the key to this? You. If you don't transform, nothing is going to change. Every time I face a problem in business, in life, that I don't know the answer to, I don't get sad. I don't pout. I don't sit there and think about, man, I don't deserve this. They shouldn't have done that to me. I go, well, has people 10 times bigger than me dealt with similar problems? And I go, well, yeah, probably even worse. And I go, okay, well, if they can handle it, then why can't I? Why can't I learn the things that they know? Why can't I get the leverage or the connections or the partners or the investors or whatever the hell the answer to the question is to not deal with those same issues? Why not? And so you can either get sensitive or you can get better, because life is beautiful. Life is fun. You can do literally, guys, anything you want, anything. But you first have to believe that you can, and you have to be practical and reasonable enough to know that it's not going to happen just because you're a nice person. It's going to happen because you're the person that actually is going to provide that value to the world, to the marketplace, and to others, so you can make that happen. You have to create value. I'll give you a simple example. If you work for a company and they give you a salary, let's say it's $100,000. If you are not generating more than $100,000 of profit, not revenue, because revenue has expenses. So if you do $100,000 of revenue, they only may be profiting $10,000, which means they have a $90,000 loss with you being there. If you work at a company, you're on a team, and you don't add more value to the organization than what it costs to have you there, you are not an asset, you are a liability. Nobody wants to say this, but this is how business works. So a key, and this is what's helped me in business, is make people money. You don't even have to be that cool of a person if you make people money. Let me tell you something. When you make people money, your jokes are funnier, you suddenly become better looking, and suddenly everyone wants to be around you. It's a weird concept. And I know you're not supposed to say these things, but they're the truth. Add value to people's lives and they will adore you. Opportunities will fly out of thin air. You will meet incredible people. Great things will happen. I've met more successful people in the last year and a half just because of putting myself out there and excelling in the world and not expecting anything in return. Because like attracts like. Other successful people want to be around people who are like them. And so the reason why this is so important for everyone here to understand this is because when you understand that this is the way the game is, you can learn how to play it. But if you spend time wishing that the game was something different than it is, or saying that it's unfair, is the longer it's going to take for you to actually start making progress in your life and in your business, and ultimately start achieving the things that you want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, we're going to have more coming every single week. And also, you guys can find me on all my social media channels at Grant Mitt on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, anything that's a social media site. You guys are able to find just unbelievable amount of free content that can help you in your business and your career. Other than that, thank you guys so much for the support. If you guys enjoy this podcast, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. And as always, I hope to see you guys again for episode 78. Hope you guys have an incredible week. Talk to you guys soon.